Hey everyone, and welcome back to Let Me Recommend, where I give you 3 films that I've seen recently, or films that I would like to speak about in that episode. Most of these films are ones that I saw in August but didn't have time to talk about. So let me recommend Talk to Me. This is about a group of friends who find themselves with a possessed hand that allows them to get a sort of high from it. But they accidentally go too far with it and things get bad quite quickly. If you didn't know already, Talk to Me is a movie by 2 Australian YouTubers, Danny and Michael Philippou, who go by the name Raka Raka. I had watched a few of their videos when I was a kid, and even as a kid I was impressed by their high production design, realistic effects, and well choreographed action scenes. So when I heard that they were making a feature film distributed by A24, I was extremely excited and saw it as soon as I could. The film itself is good, and quite a lot of fun. It doesn't take itself too seriously and is definitely not up its own arse. It follows a group of teenagers who use this hand as a kind of drug, which is already a good premise and obviously it goes wrong. Even though this is a horror film, we get a few good comedic scenes before the shit hits the fan. We get this fantastic montage scene with all of the characters dancing around the room, using the hand and having the time of their lives. Music is played on top and an atmosphere is created. This makes it so when everything goes wrong, it has a heavy impact on not only the audience, but the characters as well. And when it goes wrong, it goes really wrong. The atmosphere completely changes. This movie is also varied with the types of horror shown. We get lots of body horror, which is graphic and could make you nauseated if you're that kind of person. There's also a kind of spiritual element to it with ghosts and ultimately possession. The actual filmmaking in here is good as well. Punchy sound design that is a little over the top but adds to the intensity of this film. Sound design is very important in a film like this. Everything that is happening needs to feel real, and more than that, it needs to pack a punch. Luckily, this movie has its sound design down. They did a good job with the cinematography too. The camera snaps back along with the heads of everyone who takes a hit. It's affecting and does a good job immersing us into the world of the film. The cinematography, along with the sound design and other technical elements, like how fast it moves, makes for something that is uniquely itself. It has a strong identity, and for a directorial debut, that's really impressive. It is their feature film debut, but they have been experimenting with filmmaking for a long time now. This is a really good, fun horror film, and one you should definitely check out, if you can. It's been a while since this came out, but if it's still showing somewhere near you and you haven't seen it yet, please go see it. Let me recommend Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem. This is about the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles as they try to take down Superfly in their quest to become accepted by New York and humankind. I thought that this was charming. I thought it was cute and that it had heart. But first things first, I would like to speak about the Turtles, because I think that they were handled really well. They acted like teenagers and had chemistry between each other. The voice actors for the Turtles, who are teenagers as well, were amazing in this. The rest of the voice cast is pretty stacked, with familiar faces like Jackie Chan, Maya Rudolph, John Cena, Ice Cube, Seth Rogen, and Rose Byrne. And most of them do a good job too, especially Ice Cube as Superfly, who brings a villainous presence while also being hilarious. The animation for this is great. It's unique and looks like it was inspired by Into the Spider-Verse. It has a sketchy look about it, with colours that pop. Seeing this on the big screen was a delight. The human characters look especially weird, with faces that are slightly distorted. Things like eyes in different places being too high and one being too low, which is funny because it's the mutant turtles that look normal, which could have been intentional by the animators, to humanize the turtles and alienate the humans, as if we're watching it from the turtles' perspective. The story in this is good. Not great, but the underlying themes and quest for acceptance is what elevates it. The fact that the villains are also mutants and want the same thing as the turtles, to be loved and accepted by the rest of the world, but are just going about it differently, is great. However, the ending of this is not my favourite, as it does the cliche thing of having a gigantic monster destroying the city. The same thing we've seen in other animated movies like Nimona and Turning Red. I would have preferred a different ending that was more nuanced and low-key. I did really enjoy the action in this though, especially in the first half. We get an incredible sequence where the Turtles have to track down and fight these mob bosses. It's played out with a song on top, and as the camera slides from left to right, we watch the Turtles taking out the henchmen until they finally reach the heads of the organizations. This was the best action scene in the film for me. It worked really well and was executed perfectly. My main issues are just how the third act was handled and how easily some of the villains changed sides from bad to good. But other than that, this is a really good film. One I think most people will enjoy, so check it out if it is in a cinema near you. Now, let me recommend Passages. This is about Thomas, a German filmmaker living in Paris who has to grapple with his sexuality. While having a husband, he falls in love with a woman. It's about the relationship of these three people and how it all falls apart. I saw this very recently and didn't know much about it going in. It's one of those movies with a self-sabotaging protagonist, where they keep making terrible decision after terrible decision. Similar but also very different to Red Rocket and Uncut Gems. Passages is simple but not simplistic. The relationship of the people involved is layered and complex, but the plot doesn't have much going on. We watch these people, their love for each other, and we watch Thomas, his impulses and poor decision making. The cinematography and costume design was really nice. The final shot of the movie sticks with you and was a visually beautiful but ultimately sad ending. It moves with Thomas and stays on him for a while, not cutting, hammering home the meaning of the movie. This may not be for everyone. Some people have found this to be an extremely nuanced and layered piece, while others found it to be too simple. I'm somewhere in the middle, because I do find lots of small details hidden in the cracks, but if you step back and look at the big picture, it's a story we've seen before, and on a rewatch my score could definitely change, either in a good way or a bad way. If this seems like your thing, you should check it out. It will be something fresh. I know I said it's a kind of story we've seen before, but the way it's executed and the small details makes this unique. Catch this in a cinema if you can. And that's what I recommend this episode. Check these films out and tell me what you think of them in the comments. And that's goodbye for now.